have such sights to show you.
You are all going to die tonight.
Good evening, my sweet tortured souls, and welcome back to Miss Violet's Underworld, Deeper, Darker. Now, we did take a week off last week because tech issues and monthly visitors, shall we say, prevented us from recording. It's the simplest way to put it for tonight. But
amongst other things.
Amongst other things, yes. As if to give us a little bit of break, the void has shined down upon us and quietened the screams of the damned this week. There are no comments this week.
Nope.
So we're going to roll straight into the episode. But first, joining me, as always, it is, of course, the most tortured of tortured souls himself, the man who still, despite his best efforts, is trying his best to look like Eddie Munson. More like looks like Freddie Starr to me, but never mind.
It's only a puppet.
But it is, of course, the speaker, Jimmy Clifford. How are you doing in this ridiculously hot weather, my friend?
I have said it before and I say it again. Can you get on the line to either Crimson or Anne? But at this point, maybe Crimson's a bit too rage-filled. Get in touch with Anne. Cool it down. It is very hot.
I've already spoken to Anne. She's in her own little freezer in the back room somewhere.
Oh,
and
her.
She's pretty much said, wait until November like everybody else. So
we had a look.
Yeah, I'm trying to approach Crimson at the moment.
It's a bad idea.
Yeah. She's on one. She got on her menstrual cycle and ran over a few people. Just saying, just saying. Bless her little fiery heart.
Other than being warm, I'm fine.
Yes, and I think
still looking at that puzzle cube.
I think the heat's got to Scarlet a little bit. She came up with a joke today that I think you might appreciate. What is another name for a Vulcan orchestra?
Go on.
Spock music.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Or Spock and roll if you're nasty.
Spock and roll. That would explain the band known as Spock's Beard.
Yes, there were a few other jokes, but I don't think they're YouTube friendly.
No, probably not with Scarlet.
No, but moving on with tonight's episode, we are going to take a trip to visit the tribes of the moon down in Midian. We're going to have some sweets for the sweet with the Candyman. And then we're going to take in a magic show or two with the Lord of Illusions. We are talking a Clive Barker triple bill. Now, one thing I will point out in this, although these three films are based on Clive Barker stories, only two of these films he directed. One of them was directed by somebody else, but he did, he worked on the script and everything. So it's as good of a Clive Barker as you're going to get. But up first, we are going to talk the Candyman, the original with we lost him this year. It always pains me to talk about this.
Still quite raw.
It is very, very raw in my heart talking about Tony Todd.
Yeah.
Man, this film is the reason why I think he is a legend. Like, just his performance overall in this film, But we'll give you the basics of the Candyman first, like we always do. We're going to go with Candyman. It had a release on October 16th, 1992. A budget of 8 to 9 million, with a total box office at 25.8 million. Bear in mind, this was 1992.
Yes.
Starring Virginia Madsen, Tony Todd, and Xander Berkeley. Now, the film follows Helen Lyle, a psychology student who's looking into urban legends. And this one urban legend catches her attention, the story of the Candyman, a former slave who was commissioned to paint a portrait of somebody's daughter. He unfortunately fell in love with her and slept with her, which back in that day and age was a big no.
Yes, caused a few commotions.
Yes, so he was chased across a field, smeared with honey from a local beehive. He was pretty much stung to death by 1,000 angry bees, and he had his hand cut off. And as the urban legend goes, if you say his name 5 times into a mirror, he will appear behind you with a bloody hook in on the stump of what was left of his arm. And as they put it, he will split you from groin to gullet. So from down here in your nether regions all the way up to your throaty bits.
Not a nice visitation, by the way.
No, no. And we do get a slight cameo from Ted Raimi at the beginning of this film. And not to go into too many spoilers, but it blurs the lines between reality and fiction. And this movie, for me, is it's a weird way of saying it, but it's almost like it's a romance horror movie.
Yeah.
Candyman is more about the seduction of his victim rather than what specifically Helen. Other victims, he just splatters them.
Yeah.
But Helen, he's got a special interest in her for some reason. And yeah, so that's all I'm going to say about the story. If you've never seen it, go check it out for yourselves. Going to pass it over to the speaker himself. This was a first time viewing for you, wasn't it?
Yes, this was a first time viewing, and this is the first time viewing of the 3 films we've got tonight, which I should have realised having watched another in Clive Barker's. And if you don't know, why are you watching? You know, has something to do with a puzzle cube I'm currently attempting to locate.
Yes. I mean, we could have gone down that route, but that was too obvious. Doing Hellraiser was just a little bit
doing
too
that
obvious.
one was
We've
going
done
to be
it
too
before.
obvious. And for first watches, I've already watched a number of the Hellraisers, so honourable mention already. But no, this was a first viewing, and I should have guessed I was going to be a Clive Barker fan because, I'm going to rewatch this film for definite. It's a very interesting little tale.
Yes.
And you do, I've managed to watch this twice this week.
Hey.
So that was a bonus, getting the second rewatch, and it definitely has more to offer after the first viewing. So this is definitely
really does.
it's definitely a good film all round. Tony Todd's great in it.
His performance
is great, and I just love the fact that I feel like the reason he's got the interest in that one particular character and doesn't just with the hook is because she's actually trying to learn what his story actually is.
Yeah, well, there is that twist in the sort of back end of the film, and it's like,
oh, yeah, there is a twist with the end on this.
Yes,
and it is a good twist, and we won't be spoiling
it. But once you get to it, you'll be like, oh.
And this is why I feel like further visitations to rewatching it.
Do you know what? For years, because this is based on a Clive Barker story, although this is called Candyman, it's based on a short story from the Books of Blood called The Forbidden. And the story is a little bit different, but not too different. Because it's a short story, everything happens a bit quicker in a short story. So this film just sort of expands upon the idea that was presented in the original story. But from what I can remember of the original story, it's basically like a reporter looking into these murders that leads to the urban legend. They fall down the same. It follows the same kind of beats. It's just certain character traits are slightly different. So, other than that,
Violet.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to interrupt. I think you might be having tech difficulty because you've frozen a couple times now.
Oh dear. Am I back now?
Oh dear.
Am I here now?
You're here now, yes. I've just noticed a couple of times where it's frozen, and it's
not frozen on my side. It's not frozen my end, so I don't know what's going on. Tech issues. Summer. Give us a break.
Yeah. I think it might be the heat. The heat might be getting to our laptops and such.
Let's break this down by characters. The character of Helen Lyle, played by Virginia Madsen. What were your thoughts on her character arc throughout the film and with the surprise ending without spoiling the surprise?
Without spoiling it. She's an interesting character, this one. because you think you've got it figured out, and then suddenly you don't have it figured out. She starts pushing for more
Yeah.
on various areas, and she starts doing more and obviously doing more and more things, and you are following her,
Mhm.
and she's just generally an interesting character overall to follow, and the character arc of it and the development, it does pay off. It does pay off as to what's going on with
all of
her.
those points.
And I'm trying to be loose lip, tight-lipped,
Without giving away certain
without
things.
giving away certain details. If you have watched it, then you will know what I'm on about. If
Yes.
you haven't, go and watch this film.
Yes. And right. Xander Berkeley as Trevor Lyle. And I'm going to get this out of the way now. And this was mentioned on an episode of Honyugiki Showing. Callista spoke to Joe Manco and Catalina Corrida of Little
Yeah,
Star Films about the Hellraiser franchise. And Catalina mentioned that Clive Barker must have something against people called Trevor because in a lot of his works, someone called Trevor is usually a nasty piece of work. And this film holds true to that.
again,
Yeah, like,
it
yeah,
does.
if you're watching a Clive Barker film and a character pops up called Trevor, just assume they're an asshole from the get-go.
Yeah.
Even if they seem nice, just assume there's going to be a twist. There's going to be something later on where Trevor turns out to be a dick. It's a thing.
Like,
I don't know whether maybe somebody called Trevor really, broke Clive's heart.
that would be interesting to find
I
out
don't
from the
know.
man himself.
I'm gonna, if I ever met the guy, I'd be like, what is it again? What have you got against Trevor's?
What have you got against Trevor?
The name Trevor, all your arseholes in your books and stories seem to be called Trevor. Why is that? Like, I just want to know.
I'm just wondering if Clive Barker might have heard Ian Dory and the Blockheads, because there is Clever Trevor as a song. Maybe he just doesn't like that track.
But for me, the character of Trevor, he serves the purpose that he's supposed to serve. And without spoiling it, come the end of it, you do feel a little bad for him,
and yet you don't
realize that a lot of it is his actions, or rather his distance from his wife, is what's caused her to go down that rabbit hole of following the Candyman. So he's kind of a secondary. I don't know. He's not a secondary antagonist because he never directly goes after her, but the things he does, it's like, wow, that guy's a prick.
On one hand, you kind of have this thought that he's kind of an innocent victim. On the other hand, there's other things going on, and you're putting the pieces together with him, and it's like, this man's an arsehole and totally deserves something happening to him.
Yeah, like about 2/3 of the way through the film, you're like, I hope he dies. I hope Candyman.
He's like,
I hope Candyman gets that fucker. Just because it would be satisfying, like, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Again, trying not to give spoilers here if you've never seen it. I mean, this is a phenomenal classic. But right, last character we're going to talk about, because it's the main man himself.
Yeah.
Daniel Robitaille / no pun intended there, Candyman, played by the legendary Tony Todd. Like, I can't even say his name without welling up a little bit. But
yeah, I know.
It is hard. This for me is the performance. This and his take of Ben in Night of the Living Dead. I kind of seen these two sort of back to back. They were rentals.
Yeah, we have seen them rather close together. We've been watching quite a bit of Tony Todd recently, and it hasn't been from Final Destination or Star Trek.
1990 was the Night of the Living Dead remake. This is 19. Yeah. 2 years later. For me, those two films are what put him in the horror spotlight. His performance in this film, the way he moves, the way he talks, that line delivery, the first thing he says when he shows up, the way he says her voice, Helen, just there is something scary, but also a little bit sexual about the way that's what I mean when I say it's a seduction rather than a he wants to seduce her. The way he says her name and everything, it's just like
it's almost it's threatening, but almost an invitation.
Yeah, like, should I be scared or aroused?
Should I be scared or should I look for? Yeah, honestly, I think,
column A, little from column B.
yeah. Trivia on the background, looking into Tony Todd at the time of this. This is a few months after I believe he appeared as Kern in Star Trek. So there's a couple of line deliveries,
And you're like, I
and
can
my
hear it.
brain just went straight. Especially certain ways he puts things, and it just reminds me of the first episode he turns up in Star Trek, because he's playing this Klingon and he's being polite
I
but
think
threatening.
I think that's the thing with Tony Todd is his physical performance because he was so tall.
Oh yeah, he
His
physically.
physical performance is already imposing.
Yeah,
But when he does his line delivery, like you said in this, in
yeah,
Walking Dead, and in Star Trek, his voice, the way he delivered certain lines, he could make, like you just said, something polite sound so goddamn threatening.
yeah,
And I think that was a credit to him, was why he
yeah,
got so many voice acting roles as well as
yeah.
acting roles, was because you knew the minute you heard that voice, the audience are
You
going to
know who
go,
you're dealing with.
I know who that is.
Yeah,
Like
you knew you
when
were
he
dealing with
played
this man.
when he played one of the characters on The Flash, as soon
Yeah,
as I heard his voice, I was like, that's Tony Todd.
yeah,
Even need to think about it. It was burned in here, like just the
yeah.
way he said something. And I was like,
And
that's
like you said, his physical stature. Like the first, like I keep mentioning, the first time I saw him was on Star Trek, and it was like, whoa, that's a big Klingon, because he stood next to Worf, and they're like this kind of thing. He's just towers. So you couple that with that voice, and it's perfect. You don't want to meet him in a dark alley, and he's pissed off.
definitely not. Definitely not. But right, we're going to move on to our next film now. Oh, wait, actually, score out of 5. For me, rating this film on its own, not comparing it to the other two that we've got on the
Yeah,
list, I'm going to give this one 4.5 bloody hooks out of 5. And I'm giving it 4.5 purely because I don't think any film is ever perfect. Every film has its flaws.
yeah.
The flaw
This
for me,
one's
the flaw for me in this one is they take too long to actually introduce the Candyman. And given Tony Todd's performance, I wanted to see more of him. Now, there
yeah,
were sequels. There was Candyman 2, Farewell to the Flesh, and Candyman 3, Day of the Dead.
yeah,
The second one, it's watchable and it kind of goes along with the first one.
yeah.
The third one was straight to video, made for Sci-Fi Channel garbage. It was supposed to be set 20 years after the
Yeah,
second one, but they were
yeah.
using mobile flip phones from 1997.
Right.
So it's not great. The second one's worth the watch. Jimmy, give a score out of 5.
Out of well, 4.5 Bs.
You cut a bee in half, you animal! You savage bastard! What did
four
that
and a
bee
half,
do? That bee
four,
had a
four and a half
family!
sliced Bs.
That bee had a family!
It had a hive to go home to.
He was 3 days away from retirement. He was going to put his little legs up and take his little wings off and just chill. And you
And then he
killed,
got visited by Candyman.
you killed him. And while we're on bees, Tony Todd, trivia here, actually got paid $1,000 during one scene where he had a mouthful of bees. He got an extra $1,000 as like a
The
stuntman
bees
bonus for every bee sting he got, and I think he ended up getting an extra 17,000 on top of his established contract. So I mean, take a bee sting, make a grand. Fuck yeah, I'd do
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Sting me with a bee and give me £1,000. Fuck yes.
I'll do that. It'll heal. As long as you've not got the anaphylactic shock reaction.
What's the near lethal limit for bee stings? Because
That's an
let's
interesting
maximize this
question.
shit while we can. I don't care if I'm like that for a week covered in bee sting. Give me that money. Anyway, we're tangenting here. Shit.
Tangent alert.
Intrusive thoughts won out on that one. I do apologize. Right, moving on
Okay.
to our next film. This one for me is my least favorite out of these three. but that does not mean that I don't like this film. This film for me is very, very good, apart from, and say it with me, everyone at home, mid-90s CGI.
CGI.
See, really the only thing that lets this down, because we'll get into it. Right, anyway,
We'll discuss that shortly.
we are talking Lord of Illusions. This was actually directed by Clive Barker. Came out August 25th, 1995, so it's smack in the middle of the 90s when it comes to the CGI. Budget of 11 million. Box office 13.3 million. So not so much a flop, but not a success neither. It was a very middle of the road financial kind of film. It did a little bit, it made its money back plus a little bit more, which studios will now consider that to be a failure. Anyway, it's starring Scott Bakula, Kevin J. O'Connor, Famke Jensen, and Daniel von Bergen. Now, the story for this one is in 1982, out in the middle of the desert, there is this illusionist by the name of Nyx. He is proclaiming himself to be what he calls the Puritan. And he's going to share illusions and magic because in this world, illusion magic is just a step away from normal magic.
Yeah.
But he's basically leading a cult and he's a bit of a psychopath. So this guy called Swan with a bunch of friends show up. They get their asses handed to them, but they finally take Nyx down. They trap him in a mask. They bury him. And then it flashes forward to 1995.
Present day for the film.
Yeah. It picks up in, is it Chicago, I think, or is it New York?
I think it's Chicago, but I could be wrong.
Could be wrong on that. It's one or the other. It's one of those, you will always find a detective here kind of thing.
Yeah, it is one of those.
But we catch up with Detective Harry D'Amour, who has kind of had run-ins with like supernaturally stuff, possessions, things like that. And he's got himself a bit of a reputation for taking on cases that are a bit out there. Trivia here. The character of Harry D'Amour does actually show back up in the sequel book to Hellraiser, The Scarlet Gospels, but I need to read that still. Anyway, he's hired to look into a case of like people going missing or something. See, I can't even give you the full plot because I can't really fucking fully remember it.
Yeah.
But it basically leads on that a follower of Nyx's is going around trying to find out where he was buried to resurrect him so that he can, as they put it towards the end of the film, murder the world.
Yes.
This for me, I'll flip it over to you in a minute, Jimmy. This for me, like I said, it was a very middle of the road film for its day. And even rewatching it now, like I said, as much as I enjoy this film and I love the characters and the interactions and stuff, it just loses me a little bit in places because it jumps around. I think it was one of those films that came out where the studio liked to stick their oar in and edit the film up a little bit to try and make it jumpier. And I think this film has lost something somewhere because there's just certain bits where it's like, oh, okay, so this is happening now.
This is the thing, though.
Okay, where did you come from? Kind of thing. But overall, it's a good film. It's well acted. Scott Bakula, he's always worth a fucking watch. He's always an entertaining actor. The one thing I will say that I really did like about this film, though, compared to other films of its ilk, is he's kind of the hero character.
Yeah.
When he gets beat up, he gets beat up.
Yeah, he gets beat up.
He gets realistically injured. Like, there's one scene in it, he literally gets hit in the face with a plank of wood once. And he can barely stand back up again. Whereas modern day horror films, if someone took a plank of wood like that to the face, they'd be like, motherfucker, and then they'd start fighting again. This, for me, was believable fighting.
Yeah.
So, but Jimmy, over to you. Lord of Illusion in 2025. First viewing, what are your thoughts?
First viewing. Similar to what you say, it's a good film. I would watch this again, partly because the story definitely intrigues.
Yes.
However, the story is somewhat hard to follow, and like you said, it can be janky in places.
Yeah.
So certain things are suddenly appear in that, and that's probably something to do with cutting room, as you say, cutting room floor and studio interference there. But
I hope there's a director's cut version of it somewhere.
yeah, whether
I'd have to
we'll get because they released a film that's on this list. We'll get round to that in a bit with the director's cut. But yeah, I think this one suffered for cutting room floor things. Scott, and like you say, I mean, it's watchable. Most of the practical effects are great.
The practical effects
Some
are
of the
very, very well.
The practical effects are done very, very well.
It's the CGI in the middle.
Yeah, no, it is right in the middle of the film as well. It is some god awful
and the camera
1990s CGI,
lingers,
which
it does like a full pan up of this CGI character
yeah.
in one scene, and it stays on it for too long. And what I mean by that is long enough for your brain to go, is that a loading screen from a PS1?
Yeah, it really does. Buffering.
Yeah, like you're expecting
Danger is loading.
Ready Player One, is about to flash up on the fucking screen. It really does. Like,
and to be honest, this one CGI effort thing that probably at the time was the thing in the film that would have been the thing that pulls you in.
Well, I mean, this is the thing, right? Slight tangent.
It definitely detracts that.
This is the one thing you have to remember. Slight tangent here, folks. 1995, right? We were a year away from Transformers Beast Wars coming out. And the show, the computer-generated TV show Reboot had only just started airing at that time, right? You have to remember that at that point, those two cartoons were seen as the pinnacle of cartoon animation. This is before Toy Story and all this kind of stuff that come out, right? Toy Story was the benchmark eventually, but these shows were it for a little while. So you go back and look at those now, though, they do not look good.
No, they have not aged well.
At the time, we were like, wow, look at those computer graphics. Aren't they great? But now we look back at them and go, oh, that's bad. That's very bad. Very, very bad.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
So, given its age, I can give it a little bit of a pass on the effects. But like I said, the fact that it lingers on it for so long. Long enough to look at it and go, yeah, no, that's no.
It is the one thing in this film that does detract. I mean, overall, again, it's a good film, and I'd rewatch this. Yeah. It's got an interesting little tale to tell. It's the characters, like you say, the fight scenes, they're believable. The guy does get hit by a number of things, and yeah, he's Scott McCool acting his ass off at that point with like I am hurt kind of thing, and it does flow, but that's the one glaring thing, the CGI on the thing. But other than that, yeah, it's a good film, and I can't say much more on that. I would watch this again. I would recommend it if you hadn't seen it and you're into Clive Barker.
Yes, because like I said, he did direct this one, and it was adapted from an earlier work as well. So
yeah,
definitely check out Lord of Illusion if you've never seen it. For me, score out of 5. I'm gonna go with. Let me see here. Straight down the middle, 2.5 out of 5, and 2.5 weird iron masks out of 5. 2.5 iron masks. Straight down the middle. Like I said, not shit, but not the greatest film I've ever watched. It's a good watch, but not something I'm going to go back to anytime soon. Maybe in a while, maybe a couple of years, I'll go back and watch it again. It's not something I'd watch all the time.
For me,
4 out of 5.
I'm just going to be nice and fair. And 3 janky CGI effects.
Out of 5, yeah. Okay.
Out of 5.
A little bit higher than I rated it then.
Yeah.
I think for me though, it's because I've seen it a few times before.
Yeah, no, this might be why I score slightly higher. It's definitely got that intriguing tale to tell.
Yes.
and one that's worth revisiting.
Going to move on to our final Clive Barker outing in this Clive Barker triple bill. Now, this one for me is up there with Hellraiser in terms of Clive Barker works, and much like Hellraiser, that got not a reboot, more of an update in 2022, and there's supposed to be a sequel being worked on at the moment. I feel that this film either needs a reboot or a belated sequel.
Yeah.
We are, of course, talking about one of my all-time favorite films, and we talked about this over the last couple of nights, Jimmy, of how this kind of film affected me, and we'll get into it in a little bit. We are, of course, talking Clive Barker's Nightbreed, the director's cut, the definitive version, the version that Clive himself put his stamp of approval on and said, this is the version I wanted.
Yeah.
So if you've never seen the director's cut version of Nightbreed, go and get hold of it. This is the Arrow Blu-ray release. It is a 2-disc set. It does contain the theatrical cut and the director's cut. It's got a absolute shit ton of special features. I'm not going to read them all out because we'll be here all freaking night. But Nightbreed was released February 16th, 1990. Had a budget of 11 million, box office 16 million. So again, didn't really fail, but didn't succeed either. It was just we got money for that kind of film. Starring Craig Schaefer, Anne Bobby, David Cronenberg, Charles. I think that says. Yeah.
Can you pronounce it?
My handwriting.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Charles Haddad, and a small role by a certain Mr. Doug Bradley, who, if you're a Clive Barker fan, you'll know that name. And if you know that name, drop it in the comments. And while you're in the comments section, please, everyone, remember to like, subscribe, and just have fun with the show, like we do. But
I do like those screams.
Nightbreed. Setting up the premise of this film, we are introduced to a character called Boone. It's his last name, not his first name.
Yeah. One name character.
Yes, but he's having nightmares of monsters and strange creatures in an underground city called Midian. He can't figure it all out. So he goes to see a psychiatrist, played by David Cronenberg, in a rare acting role. And he's basically told by his psychiatrist that his dreams he's having line up with these brutal murders that have been taking place. And this leads Boone, played by Craig Schaefer, basically on a quest to try and figure out what the hell's going on. He's prescribed what he thinks is Prozac by his psychiatrist, but it's actually LSD. So he ends up tripping his tits off.
Yeah.
And what ensues is his attempts to find the city of Midian, embrace his destiny as one of the tribes of the moon, a member of the Nightbreed, which are all these strange, fantastical creatures. You've got the likes of Shauna Sassy, who looks like a human porcupine. You've got Palaquin, who's got these long tendrils and dark red skin. You've got a guy literally called Moonface because his face is in the shape of a moon. You know, you've got Lylesburg, played by Doug Bradley, and his makeup's really cool because it looks like he's got slits on the side of his face, a bit reminiscent of Pinhead. But then there's actually eyes underneath these slits.
Yeah,
kind of cool. And this film for me hits freaking hard because you come to realize as it goes through the film that the monsters, the people who look different, who look strange, who have strange abilities, they're not the bad guys. This film paints them up as they want to live away from humanity, hidden from them, because they know that if humanity knew about them, because they're so different, because they're so strange, humanity would do what humanity has always done. When something new, something different, or something they don't understand comes along, they would try to wipe them out. Yeah, and there's a scene in this film that even when I was sat watching it with Jimmy, every time I watch it, I shout at the screen. I get upset. I get visibly
Yeah,
upset.
it was a rare moment.
I get visibly upset watching this film at the way the humans treat the Nightbreed. And yeah, I can't say any more about this film without spoiling it too much. You really do have to see the director's cut version of this film because even Clive Barker explains it at the beginning when they do the introduction that when they got hold of the raw footage that they needed to restore it and everything and clean it up and tidy it up, they basically went back to the theatrical cut, took 20 minutes out of it,
Yeah,
replaced that with 20 minutes of new footage, and then added an additional 20 minutes of new footage. So the film runs at 20 minutes longer, but there's actually 40 minutes worth of new stuff within this film that wasn't
yeah,
seen before. And for me, it changes the whole dynamic of the film. The theatrical cut is okay. You can see if you watch the theatrical cut, you can see why it didn't do great on its release. But if
that
the
would be
direct,
your.
if
You
the
know that one. I haven't watched the theatrical.
yeah, but if they'd released the director's cut as the actual theatrical cut, I think this film would have been right up there with horror fans, where Pinhead and that lot are. You know,
Yeah,
they'd be in the public zeitgeist where Pinhead and all that lot should be if they'd done the director's cut because that film is so powerful and the message of acceptance.
yeah,
Things might look different, but they don't mean you any
yeah,
harm.
yeah.
And
Just because these things go bump in the night doesn't mean they're out to hurt you.
as you said to me last night, in a weird way, this film from 1990, the
Yeah,
message of just because they're different doesn't make them dangerous
yeah,
seems more relevant now in 2025 than it did in 1990. And as I said to you, I honestly think that Clive Barker, given his orientation and all that, I think he gets it. And
yeah.
this film was his way of putting that across of look, just because we're different
Putting that feeling.
does just because we're different doesn't make us monsters,
Yes.
you know. And this film for me, if that is the subtext to it, this is just my own personal take on it. If that is the subtext to this film of just because they look different, you should still accept them. That to me puts this film.
Well, that's a degree. That's me. Neurodivergent.
I'm putting this at the top of my pile. You know, this is I will watch this 2-3 times a year.
Yeah.
I love it that much.
Yeah.
But yes, so
Over to me.
your first thoughts on Nightbreed, watching it in 2025, and yet you went straight to the director's cut because I just couldn't put you through the theatrical cut.
I think at some point when, well, let's put it this way. Great film. Great film. I highly recommend this. And this one's definitely on my DVD list to acquire. That's how good this film was. And I'm probably going to go for the same with the theatrical and the directors. And then that way I will re-watch the theatrical because I could see what the difference is. At least that way I'm getting a more positive view of it because I know what the film can be and is,
Yeah.
as opposed to what it was at the time of release.
Exactly. And that's the only reason why I bought this 2-pack was
Yeah.
I happened to see it in a shop one afternoon, and as soon as
I'm having that.
Nightbreed, I've been looking for Nightbreed for such a long time, and then I saw this, spun it round, and I was like, oh wait a minute, it's a director's cut. I've never seen it.
Ooh.
Oh,
I'll have that.
this.
Yeah.
Screw eating this week. I'm watching this film for a week.
Yeah.
And
No, it was it's a great film. The practical.
I watched it when I got home. I watched it again before I went to bed, and then I watched it again the following morning when I woke up. I watched it 3 times in the first 24 hours when I bought it. That's how much I love this film.
I love this film too. It's all right. No, it's fine. I will allow the interruption, folks. No, like I said, I highly recommend. I'm going to get this on DVD. It's a no-brainer on this one. It's a very, very well-made film. It's got a great story. It's a little hard to follow in places, but
I think that's done purposely though to mirror Spoon's going.
Yeah, and that's my whereas going back slightly, whereas Lord of Illusion's a hard film to follow because I think of the way that's been cut and such.
Yes.
This one's hard to follow because the story is it's meant that way.
Yeah, and there's certain moments where the line between reality and
Yeah,
what's in his head
it's
gets a
meant
little
it's
bit
meant
skewed.
to yeah, it's meant to confuse and intrigue as you're
Yeah,
watching it.
it's purposefully done.
It's purposeful and it's meant that way, which is why it can be a little hard to follow. But the more I'm get like you say, you've watched this
Multiple.
thousand freaking times, so
Yeah.
you get every single bit and you understand where it's going, and the payoff's great. And like you, I'm probably going to get to that one particular scene and start like, oh come on. It is literally these monsters, and it is very nicely done as well. I do like that. Um, I think you might have mentioned it to me when we conversed. It's like Clive Barker, up until that point with movies, monsters were used. It was simply it's the monster of the week.
Freddy, Jason, Michael
Yeah, it's the
Myers.
monster of the week, and they're there doing what they're doing,
Yeah,
and they're there to be beaten.
yeah.
These ones,
These
they're very much,
they're a threat.
they resonate with me. They very much want to go and find that nice little island out of the way and just be left alone. You know, we just want to exist. Can we exist over here and be left alone? No.
And
You know,
the film
like,
doesn't even sort of trick you with it because it for a little while it presents the
yeah,
like first interaction between Peliquin and Boone. It's like
yeah,
these guys are going to be a threat, but then when Boone
yeah,
goes back to Midian and you
yeah.
get to see what it's like, and it's like
It
ah,
they sort of resemble. If I'm trying to think of the right now, it's like the really big, tall. It's like the mountain from Game of Thrones kind of guy in the bar, right? He's big, he's hard. He knows he can deck you, but he chooses. He just wants to be there for the nice pint, and he just wants to have a nice time. And he's polite as all hell, right? It's like these monsters are very much the same. Yes, they've got abilities, various different ones, various different things they could harm you with. They only use them if threatened.
exactly.
It's like that dangerous animal. They're perfectly fine if you leave them alone, you know. And they're more than willing to get along with you in certain circumstances.
Seeing as we're talking about this with like their abilities and stuff like that, favorite
Yeah.
kill for me in the whole film is Shauna Sassy's dance. She doesn't. I don't think she ever once lays a punch on him.
No.
She just dances, and her quills do the job.
Yeah. She is literally
Human porcupine.
a human porcupine.
But
And it is very interesting.
the makeup effects for this film, this is one thing we will definitely talk about.
Yeah, I mean the makeup effects have got to be they were on point.
For each of the Nightbreed, and each one is different. There's no two that are the same. The practical effects on display in this film, the practical makeup effects, the puppets that they use in certain scenes, every effect they use in this film is very, very well done.
Yeah.
Each character is unique, believable, and there's certainly even just background characters you can look at and go, I want to know more about that one.
Yeah. No, I was finding that.
What's her story? What's his story?
Yeah.
And there is a comic book that does flesh out some of the characters. I've been doing my research on this. There is quite a few comic books out there, but I haven't read them, so I can't comment on them.
And I didn't know about them, but now that I do, they might get added.
Yeah. I'm gonna be going on a little bit of a hunt.
I think I might be doing the same.
But for me, this film, very much like Hellraiser, is kind of just ready for an update. And much like we said on the Toxic Avenger episode last time, this is one of those films that
again it falls in that category.
Put more budget towards it.
Yeah.
Help that story meet its potential. Hell, at this point, because of work the comic books in as well, do it as a TV series.
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, no, you could quite easily turn this into quite the big thing. You could turn it into a TV series because of the comic books.
With Stranger Things coming to an end, I think it would be really good to see something like this adapted to a show. That we've seen one side of it, Stranger Things, where they've got to stop the monster. Do this show and
flip it around.
Monsters protecting themselves from the humans.
Yeah.
No, like
Never
I would
flipped the
love to see
script.
more of the Nightbreed. I'd like to see more of the characters and the backstories about each and every one of them. Shauna
Yeah,
Sassy is my favorite character, and she's got like 3 lines
yeah,
in the whole film, but there's just something about her look.
yeah. No, she's that. Out of the ones that were there, I mean, there was a couple in the background. I would like to know more about you, but she's the one that sticks out. That porcupine. It's like, how did she go from what she was to that? And what's her story?
Yeah. Well, apparently there is a comic book about her story, so
I'm going to be looking for that one. I think definitely. This is one you've definitely, like I said at the very beginning. I should have guessed I was a Clive Barker fan. He does obviously very good work. I've not read any of his books.
once
I'm
I finish
probably going to
Hellbound
look for some.
Heart, I've got Hellbound Heart and the Scarlet Gospel. Once I
Yeah.
finish reading Hellbound Heart, I will lend it to you.
Oh, thank you very much.
That is basic. Hellbound Heart is the original novella that Hellraiser
For
was based
Hellraiser.
on. But
Yeah.
considering that Clive worked on Hellraiser, the film, the very first film, he did the script and everything for it. I kind of feel that the two are separate stories, but
Yeah.
closely related because the story for tangent here for Hellbound Heart is very,
Tangent.
very different to what the story is in Hellraiser. There's quite a
Yeah.
few changes. So, but we'll get into that in
Yeah.
another episode.
No, I definitely look up. I'm
So,
guessing there is a book for the Nightbreed as well, obviously.
I
So
think so. I think so. Yes,
I'd
it's basically
certainly
the
look at it.
original story. Wait, yes, I just remembered the original story that Nightbreed is based on is called Cabal.
Cabal.
Yeah, which ends up becoming Boone's.
Yeah.
Slight spoiler alert there, but it's hotter than Satan's asshole here, and I'm getting a bit too uncomfortable in this mask here. So it's time to start wrapping things up.
Yeah.
Time to score Nightbreed out of 5. I'll let you go first, Jimmy, because mine's going to be pretty damn fucking obvious. But what was your score out of 5?
Like you, I'm going to go with not every single film, not every film. No film's perfect. So, but this is going to be the 4.5 porcupine quills to the face.
Oh, lovely, lovely. Well, see, although I said earlier no film is perfect, I'm going to break my own little rule here. This film for me is 5 button eye serial killer masks out of 5. I just love this film. And when I say that, I mean I love the sound, the cinematography,
Yes.
acting.
The soundtrack and everything to this film is perfect. Honestly, if you haven't watched this,
Do you know what, right?
go and watch this.
I reviewed this back when I first got it, when I did Violet's Underworld
Yeah.
solo, when I flew before
Yeah.
you would
When
track
you were
down,
flying solo.
before you would track down here, before you fucked around with
Yeah.
that cube and ended up down
Yeah.
here, which I'm still not giving you that, by the way. You're still stuck here. Right?
I'll have to find my own.
I did review it once. I kind of went a bit deeper with the story and whatnot there. And our wonderful friend of the channel, Mr. Tony Harris, bought himself a copy pretty much straight away. He was like, "Oh yeah, you sold it to me. I'm on board with it." My question to you, Tony, if you're watching this episode, is: have you watched it yet, or has it been added, or has it been added to your unicorn's cock?
Tony,
Your mythical watch list that seems to just get longer.
I think you may have just set the gauntlet there for Tony before he gets into the comments.
Down. There we go. There we go. Jimmy gave it a 4.5. I gave it a 5, breaking my own rule that no film is perfect. I'm sorry, but the director's cut version of this,
It's perfect.
it's the perfect version of a film that I already loved. So for me, that's not breaking my own rule. It's like they just took what I loved, made it even better. So there we go. But that is it for this week's episode. Jimmy, would you like to tell the folks at home what's coming up on next week's episode?
You're gonna have to say that. I think the mic cut out this time. I couldn't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Would you like to tell the audience what we've got coming up next week?
Oh, next week. Next week we're going to that there cabin in the woods again, but not the cabin in the woods film. It's the Evil Dead.
Yes, we are going to take a look at the original Evil Dead trilogy, Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn, and depending on which part of the world you're from, it goes by all of these titles. The Evil Dead 3, The Medieval Dead, or Army of Darkness, which is how I was introduced to it. So that's kind of
That's
what I
how I've
tend to
heard of
call
it.
it.
Army of Darkness.
Yeah, I was introduced to it as Army of Darkness. I know in America it was subtitled The Army of Darkness, The Medieval Dead, because that was the tie into Evil Dead. And in some parts of the world, it was actually full listed as The Medieval Dead, Army of Darkness, Evil Dead 3. Just to fucking make sure you got the point that this was
One film, many names.
yeah, you make sure you got the point that this film was part of the Evil Dead franchise, just in case you weren't sure.
I think we've made our point with that one as well.
Yes, yes. But right, we shall see you on the next one, everyone.
Yeah.
So, time to say goodnight, Jim.
Night, Jim.
Good night, my sweet tortured souls. And remember, you can't be good, be twisted. Don't get mad, baby. Get fucking sadistic. Mwah. See you next time. Bye.